Welcome to the 8th episode of Byte-Sized JavaScript. In this episode, we'll be talking about several Git and GitHub workflows. Following a workflow makes it easier to work and collaborate on the same project with your teammates without stepping on each other's toes. The simplest Git workflow that one can come up with is what's called the Centralized workflow. In the Centralized workflow, you have a single repository and you merge your changes to the master branch and then rebase your changes on top of the master. Let's look at how this workflow functions on a graph. Every circle you see on this graph represents a commit. So let's assume initially that your local repository is up to date and your local master branch and the branch of the remote repository point to the same commit hash. So let's continue on working on the project and do some changes and create another commit on our local repository. And let's also assume in the meantime a team member pushes her changes to master, which makes the remote master branch, which is origin/master, deviate from our local master branch. So we need to add our changes to synchronize with the master basically. And to do that, we'll do a git pull --rebase origin master, and then we'll do a git push origin master. And that's the entire workflow. There are two benefits of this workflow. First of all, it's ridiculously simple. And secondly, in the end of the day, you get a pretty linear commit history, and it will be really easy to look back in time and reason about your changes that you have made before. If your team is larger than a couple of people, and if you're frequently adding new features and fixing bugs in your projects and updating them really fast, then you might want to start using topic branches or what we call feature branches. And here is how feature branch workflow kind of works. Initially, our local master points to the same hash as our origin master, and the thing that's different is before starting our development, we create a topic branch by doing a git checkout-b branch name master. And after creating and switching to the branch, we start working on our issue and then commit our changes to our local feature branch. Finally, we merge our changes to master by doing a git checkout master, git pull, git merge, and then we'll be pushing our changes with a git push origin master. And after the merge is done, you can delete your local and remote branches by doing something like git branch -d feature/feature ID, and then do a git push origin --delete feature/feature ID. The benefit of having a feature branch is isolation. By isolating features into separate branches, everyone can work independently, and in the same time you can merge code from other branches and other people's feature branches into your feature branch so that you can experiment with things on your topic branch without having to wait for them to be officially merged into master. The next workflow that we are going to look at is commonly known as the GitHub Flow, and here's how it works. You will again start creating a topic branch, and then you'll work on your branch and add commits to it, and after that you'll open a pull request, and then you discuss the code and update the pull request based on the feedback that comes from your peers. And finally, when everyone is satisfied with the code reviews, you merge your changes to master and then close the pull request and delete your branch. Another workflow, especially large organizations do, is to use a centralized repository. So we start with a central repository, which is our source of truth, and any team who wants to work on the project can fork this repository into their team account, which means every team has their own repository to work on. Having separate repositories for each team gives them the flexibility to choose whichever workflow they feel comfortable with while working on a feature. Generally, teams are not allowed to directly merge into this central repository. They can only create pull requests. And the central repository has a gatekeeper who is called the merge master. The merge master's duty is to look at each pull request and then decide whether to merge it to the codebase or not. And before I forget, there is also a flow called the Git Flow, and depending on your project, the clear visualization of history that Git Flow gives you may be what you actually need. I personally find Git Flow unnecessarily complex without providing enough benefit. In our screencasts, I'll generally follow the GitHub Flow because GitHub Flow gives a nice balance between simplicity and functionality. So let's see how GitHub Flow works with an example. We'll first go to the Babel project that we started working on in the former episode, and then we'll pick an issue from the outstanding issues that we have. So we'll first fetch the recent master and then branch off to a topic branch, and I'll be using feature/issue ID for the branch name, and let's switch to that branch as well, and then update the code, add our changes, commit our changes, then we push our changes with git push origin feature 9, and next we'll go to GitHub and create a pull request, and this is the time we discuss the code with our teammates and do modifications and make changes to it if necessary. And when everyone is satisfied with the changes, we merge them to master and delete the feature branch both from our local repository and from the master, which is the end of this workflow. Well, that's about it. In this episode, we learned about various Git and GitHub workflows, and then we analyzed how GitHub Workflow works step by step with an example. Before the next episode, I'll be fixing some of these outstanding issues as well, because we'll be using Babil in the upcoming episodes too. And until then, may the source be with you.